Hi, everybody. Hope you're doing marvelously well. I'm with two rather wonderful gentlemen, Gilad and Chris. How are you both?
Doing pretty good, Warren.
Thank you for doing so much heavy lifting. I've done several of these mixing competitions. They are a pain in the ass to judge. Just to be really honest, because you second guess yourself, you listen multiple times, you know. But I will say there was a lot of coincidence in the mix choices. So everybody can feel very secure that there was three mixes that are in both Gilad and Chris's top five. And so it made the top three very easy to pick. The remixes, I think, were definitely a lot more varied, weren't they?
Yeah, definitely.
But we were able to find crossover. But it can be with remixes such an individual taste thing.
It is very subjective at some point, you know.
Yeah, depending on whether you're a drummer or a guitarist.
So we have one drummer and two guitar players here, so.
That's right.
So there may have been
who?
yeah. Gilad's the drummer. You can see the drums behind him, you see.
There you go.
And the other thing we must point out, that we're all wearing Odyssey headphones.
Yeah, Odyssey.
Are we all wearing the same model?
You and I are wearing the same model. Chris got the fancy model.
Yeah, the MM500, the new one.
Oh, you got Manny's ones?
Exactly.
Yeah, do you like them?
I like them a lot, I have to be honest, yeah. They're
Very
great.
nice.
Yeah.
Jealous.
We've been slowly moving towards Odyssey. They seem to be a constant with a lot of my friends, like my mix of friends, and everybody has a pair of Odysseys. So I'm late to the party, is what I'm saying. So we're going to work in reverse. Coming in at number 5 is Bur Zum. Let's check it out.
Very good mix. Love that mix. Love what he did at the beginning. That first transition between the intro and the main parts. All the instruments, most of them stopped, and then there's that cymbal going in. Very tasteful, kind of like that. Love also, yeah, nice guitar sound also. The bass is very defined. Like it. So, in general, it's a very, very good mix.
I felt the same way. It's a very good mix. My issue that I remember when listening to this is that in the intro, it sounds like the whistle is kind of buried in synth a little bit. Nothing too extreme, but like I just wish that it came out a little bit more. On the other hand, I think he used some kind of a tape effect or something. Something sounds kind of warped or something, which I dig. It's nice, and they did the same thing on the piano at the end. And that's pretty. I like the creativity. I like that it doesn't sound too much like my own mix. Everything sounds balanced during the song. There's this moment after the guitar solo where like the whistle comes back in, and there's like a little swell there, and I felt like it lost a little bit of the excitement that could have happened there.
I agree with what Gilad's saying there. I think this could have been higher up if the low end had just been a little bit more controlled and a little bit more rounded. It's interesting. Alex definitely hasn't got a big low end bass. It's got that, like we were talking about, like a Jarko kind of mid-rangey thing, which was great. But the way the low end kind of made sense on his was just a little bit better than this one. But this is also a superb mix. And again, I think like we were talking about earlier, in isolation, all of these are great mixes. But as soon as you start comparing them, you start, favoring something from one over another. Coming in at number 4 is Alec Nolan. So, guys, what did you think? Gilad, I'm going to have you go first.
Yeah, this is a very good mix. I like this mix. I felt like my only comment about it was like at the ending, like the bass was kind of taking over the sound a little bit. Like there was too much bass basically. But beautiful. Like I like it when the dynamics and when the build up is exciting. So beautiful mix. Great job.
Yeah, same here. Totally agree with Gilad. Love the acoustic guitar balance at the beginning. Also very tasteful. Around bass sound also. But at some point, maybe a bit too loud. That's, sometimes during the mix. And the snare, love the drum sound in general.
Exactly.
Near the end, that snare seems to be a bit loud, in my opinion. But in general, it's a very tasteful mix.
I agree with you, the bass. I felt like the bass was one of the tightest bass sounds.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very built around kind of a mid-range, lower mid-range 300. Had a very almost Jarko kind of frequency range, it's a superb mix. I think in any of these top 5 mixes, if they were the only mix you heard, you'd be like, yeah, it's a great mix.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because it then comes down to a little bit of subjectivity. I know off camera, everybody, Gilad just heard this, was like, oh, this is really good. Maybe this could go higher on the list. It's going to happen with all of these top 5, because even though we decided on these top 5, they're all so good individually that if you forget about how the others sound in isolation, they sound fantastic. So, yeah, great work. Okay, coming in at number 3 is Melvin Boyd. For me, this one was the first of the three, the one that shows off the guitar so far the most. But the drums are maybe just a little bit overpowering in the snare for me. It just it's just a little bit. It's definitely a mix that Chris would like as a drummer, isn't it, Chris?
You got me.
I wonder if the guy who mixed, if Melvin is a drummer.
Maybe.
Maybe he is.
But I actually, that's one thing that I really love about this mix. Is something about the bass drum sound really drives the energy of the tune, which I really dig. I had a little issue with the amount of reverbs on the whistle in the beginning, just because the synth sounds very close and the whistle sounds so far in the back, and that's the melody. So it kind of gets buried a little bit. But I really like the beat sounds fantastic. Actually, one of my favorite mixes in terms of how the main part beat sounds.
Of course, I agree with you, Gilad. Yeah, kick and bass together, they sounded great. They worked very well together. I kind of like also the ambience around the kick drum, which was very nice, very subtle but nice.
Tasty, yeah.
And I agree with you, Gilad, about the reverb around the whistles at the beginning. That was a bit too much, and in my opinion. So, but very good mix.
Great mix. Definitely one of the better ones to show off the guitar thus far. Was able to get lost in there, but I did find just the snare maybe slightly distracting, just maybe a little bit. I would have softened it ever so slightly.
Yeah.
But the bass tone was fantastic. It had that same thing that Alec did with the sort of 300-ish kind of Jarko thing, but with just a little bit more low end. It's probably definitely my favorite bass tone thus far.
Yeah, and that's the thing with these types of snare sounds, very thin and papery in a way. It's easy to just, have too much of that. So it's always need to be careful, So, because I agree with you, it's a bit near the end, especially when there's a climax. It shows that it's a bit too loud.
I remember when we recorded that one, Eric Harlett, the drummer on this one, he had like this device on his snare drum that makes it sound like that, like three metal thingies that sit on the skin.
Okay, yeah.
At number 2, we're getting to the number 1 is Kai Ulikowski. I love this mix. I love this
Yeah,
mix.
it's very good.
Yeah, it really, where the last mix showed off the guitar, suddenly became like, oh, this is a guitar player's record. This really is the perfect kind of blend because it shows so much taste. The way that the intro grows, really percussive. It sucks me in. Even though the last mix, the groove was fantastic and we all loved the groove. This one let me discover the groove. It just kind of tap, 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 tap. The way it just built up beautifully.
Makes sense, yeah.
And again, another great bass tone that just locks with the guitar.
To me, the exciting thing about this one is that it seems like Kai might be coming from a different world than mine, which I really dig. And like it almost feels like a different genre the way this is mixed in a good way. I like the fact that he kind of made choices that are not too influenced by the original mix. I don't know if he ever even checked it out or not, but like the whole intro being kind of like limited EQ and saturated, and then how it expands almost feels like the body percussion is kind of stepping towards you or something. Like and all of it, even if you notice the beginning, like when the synth shows up, like he did this panning thing. There's a lot of emphasis on the excitement of the mix, which I really dig. It's just fun to listen to. It's like you get a lot of candy.
I like the warmth on this. This is definitely the fullest guitar tone so far.
Very warm. Yeah.
Yeah, which I think it's a jazz track, so it suits it totally. But I think what you were pointing to, guys, is like he's a little bit of a pop mixer, like understanding like how to suck you in with the way he restricted the intro and then built it in. It's very like taking a pop sensibility to it.
Yeah. The only thing I would have done though is maybe bring the kick drum a bit lower. I felt it sounded a bit too loud. Maybe because it's more, it's nice and round and there's a very nice low end to it also. But maybe just a bit too loud for my taste.
Here it is, the winning mix.
Oh yeah.
And it's Paolo Germano. Let's check it out.
beautiful low end, beautiful, exciting, like 3-dimensionality. You really feel like you're in the mix.
The width is beautiful, and it doesn't sound like it's being done with tricks. It sounds like he's just taken things and panned them around, as opposed to using some horrible widening software, which makes me feel
Exactly.
dizzy because it messes with the phase.
Yeah.
You just got that kind of stuff going on, and the guitar tone is gorgeous.
Yeah.
You know,
Gorgeous.
a bit of overdrive, tasteful overdrive on the guitar sound, which sounds pretty good actually. The whistles also at the beginning. I think they were just well mixed.
Well, that's amazing. So we did the top 5 of the mixes.
Yes.
Now we're going to get into the top 5 of the remixes.
All right.
Oh,
And number 5, we have Ash.
Very cool remix, you know, a bit more on the EDM side. Love what he did in the middle of the song, you know, the drop and then the pickup was quite nice. So yeah, very good job.
I like this. I like this remix. It's nice to hear my song with this kind of very different context and very creative use of the different elements and like all these different phases that the track goes through in terms of the sonic world we're in. Really nice, really cool.
I like it. Sort of starts off like, is it Massive Attack? You know, it's kind of all that kind of fun stuff.
yeah.
And then it goes into a far more modern kind of dance track. So it kind of keeps me happy. I think the music I love, you know, gun to my head, my favorite music, whatever genre it is where it's got lots of things that I like. It's a great melody, it's great performance, and it's great production. You know, I need all of those things. I can't just have one of those elements. And so this was a great remix because I started off thinking, oh, he's going to go make it all kind of like, you know, teardroppy or whatever, because that's how the intro felt. And then he went into like a far more modern kind of, you know, groove. So at number 4, we have Jois Lugo.
It's cool, yeah. What I look for in those remixes, I mean, it's so subjective, but like I look for to see that there's elements from the song, and this one just grooves really nicely, and it's definitely a whole other genre, which is fun for me to hear my sound bits in this kind of context. So it's great.
It reminded me of being back in the UK when I was a kid in like the early 90s, a kind of an acid jazz thing. Ba-doom, ba-doom,
yeah.
ba-doom. And that was great. I mean, that was a great time for British music, brand new heavies, all of that stuff was just so good. Moloko, or everything. What did you think, Chris?
Yeah, very groovy. I got caught up into it like right away at the first listen. So love also, you know, the additional guitars he added to his version was quite nice also.
Yeah. He's taking a nice solo in there, and then he's using my solo in that middle section there too. So
yeah,
it's cool. Nice use
cool.
of the materials.
At number 3, we have Tim Linsdale.
You're a long way from home.
So, who wants to start with this one? I mean, this is completely off the wall.
Whoa.
Yeah. Chris, you wanna jump in on this one first?
Bring on Skrillex. Man, that was a fun one to listen to. I have to say, man. Yeah, dubstep all the way. So that was quite nice. All the original elements he took, remixed that into that dubstep feel. Even bringing those huge, heavy guitars at the middle of the song, was quite interesting. So yeah, thumbs up, man.
Yeah, so out of the box. So like nothing that I would expect to hear from a remix on this competition. With that specific song. And yeah, kind of similar to the last one, but like all these like little riffs that I played in the original track and how they kind of appear. There's like a little break. All of a sudden, you hear like a guitar shred for a second. It's really, really exciting. Really, really cool and creative.
Yeah, I loved it for all the reasons you're both mentioning. The fact that it's somebody that you want to pay enough respect to the track, i.e., take hooks, and of course the ba ba da ba ba da da is a really super hooky melody. So he took that melody, but just did whatever the heck he wanted after that, and I admire that. Sometimes people can be a little bit tentative with these kinds of things, and as you pointed out with other things, maybe play it a little bit safe. Tim did not play it safe, and so my hat's off to you. Number 2. So at number 2 we have F Nerva. Chris, what did you like about this one?
Oh, it has that, love the drum and bass vibe to it, blended with the strings and brasses. That was quite original to get the blend of drum and bass groove and the strings on a type of orchestration movie type feel. So yeah.
I mean, you summed up everything for me. It starts off a really interesting string arrangement, and then ends up with that kind of drum and bass. I agree. A really, really great remix that stands on its own as another track. Yeah, another track.
Beautiful, yeah, and I don't know if you guys noticed. You probably did, but like there's this conversation between the bass and the strings. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they'll play in unison, and then sometimes one of them would do another thing, and the other would do another thing, and I thought it was really, really cool.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, just even in terms of production, like it's so satisfying. Like all the sounds are so pretty and satisfying and exciting. That this is definitely one of my favorites, and also. The way he kind of spliced up my guitar solos and elements, and kind of made them fit into the music in ways that are not my original intention, but are very hip. I really dug that. Maybe my only comment about that one is kind of like the drum beat, the drum and bass thing is a little cookie cutter. Like it feels like it's repeated too much throughout the whole song. My guess is, if not for that, I would probably vote this higher in the.
Oh, that's great.
The list.
No, it's fantastic information. I think for people watching, that's the kind of thing that they watch these videos for. Yeah, that's great. That's great insight. All right, the winning remix is Filippo and Nadia.
I'm alone, away from home, but I'm not alone, finding my own way. I'm alone, away from home, can't wait to be back where I belong. I'm a long way from home, but I'm not alone, finding my own way. This world can wander your eyes. At the end of this night, the sun will shine again. Walking along with the sound of this night, I'll never stop up to the sky. No matter how far I follow my dreams, a long way from home. I'm a long way from home. There's so much more than what you know. I'm a long way from home, can't wait to be back where I belong. Walking along with the sound of this night, I never stop up to the sky. No matter how far I follow my dreams, a long way from home. the way. Oh, the way.
This reminds me of like it's not Joni Mitchell, don't get me wrong. But you know when Joni did like Imingus and like takes jazz tracks and puts lyrics to them, and so and it stands head and shoulders. You know, this is a very subjective thing with the remixes. I'm sure lots of people are going to watch this and say, "Well, I prefer Tim's over this or whatever." But I think for me, I admire Gilad is an incredible jazz musician. And all the musicians that played on the recording, incredible jazz musicians. And I think what I love about this is that same level of like, you know, musicianship was brought to it. There's a lot of work done in here. They learned all the melodies. They wrote lyrics to the melodies. They've reinterpreted it, but they also managed to interweave all of your guitar playing in there. And yeah, I know this is a lot of work. And for me, it paid off. I know, Gilad, you said you had a little reservations about some of the lyrics.
Some of the lyrics and also you know, because people who sing usually, of course, the same way that the guitar players, they like to be at the front of the mix, but at parts where like the voice was kind of supposed to be in the background during the guitar solo, I felt like I heard more voice than guitar. So in terms of the mix, I would actually have more comments for this one. But like you said, like the song and the singing is beautiful, and like they obviously put a crazy amount of work into this. So
yeah, nice melody also. You know, it's not like a jazz melody opposed to the music, so it has a different vibe, different approach, a bit more Celtic in a way, which I kind of like. I
agree. You could take Gilad's ba 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 da da. You could take that melody and take it anywhere. It could be Enya. You know, it could be.
That's so funny you say that.
No, you're right. Yeah. You're right.
You know why? That's funny you say that.
Oh, why? Somebody else has said that.
No, because my son is randomly obsessed with Enya for the last year. But I'm not talking about like likes Enya, but like obsessed with Enya.
Orinoco Flow.
Oh, I mean, forget it. That we have that in LP.
Sail
but
away,
like,
sail away. Yeah.
No, but he knows the whole catalog, man. He's
wow.
That's so funny. It does sound a bit different compared to you know, you have Gilad's melody, original melody playing on guitar, and you have these guys singing the same melody, but the way they sing it, they performed it. This is where you get that Enya vibe, I guess.
But for the record, I don't really like Enya.
I don't actually don't think it is Enya. What I mean is like it could be taken that way. I think when you have a melody that's you know, simple and beautiful, you can go anywhere with it. That's the great thing about a great melody. You know,
this is not to say this about my own melody, but in general, I think that the great melody is like the driving force of a song. Like the mix can be terrible. Like many things can be bad, but if a melody is strong, that's what makes a song.
So, everybody watching, this has been really, really difficult, and we've been talking about this, and we feel like for any of these top five, like, you know, Gilad was just saying, like F's, for instance, would have been higher had it not been for that repetitive loop. And between Tim and, you know, Filippo and Nadia, it was really, really close. So I think, and the prizes, thankfully, in the top three are all really, really good. And it just goes to show that it's all about creativity. That all these five mixes are completely different to each other. These remixes are completely different. And everybody watching here is going to have their own subjective opinion. And we welcome that. And yeah, it's a tough one. These were all five incredible remixes. And if it wasn't for just little tweaks here and there, I think any one of them could have been the number one. Thank you, everybody. You guys rock. Guys. Gilad, I know you've got to run in 4 minutes. You are teaching a jazz guitar lesson.
That is correct.
And so we better get off and let you do that.
Yeah.
Chris, thank you ever so much for coming in and helping.
Thanks for the invite, Warren. And thank you, Gilad, for producing and writing an amazing song.
Thanks a lot.
You know, that melody is going to be, you know, everyone watching this video is going to be caught up with that melody for hours.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
for
the
sure.
idea. That's the idea.
There will be
Thank you,
links to
guys.
Gilad's album underneath here, so go check out his album, which this track is from. Thank you, everybody. Congratulations to all the winners of the mixes and remixes.
Thanks everyone for all your hard work.
Thank you, everyone.
Gilad, you're a rock star. Well, you're a jazz star, but you can be a rock star too. I really appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.